questioning about you, but that's weird. They need to mind their business, but whatever though. They could have had somebody in your family. They could have had a neighbor.
Why do they
They could have said something, or somebody just was trying to figure out, like, how was you disabled? Why are you disabled?
Wouldn't want to ask the neighbour here. You know, because I'm a hermit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Might as well say that. Calls by. As there's a lot of neighbours. Another neighbour. My neighbours cause neighbours issues all the time too. Have you ever seen the show called Neighbours in Australia? I think it's ridiculous. But anyway, causes fantasies. It's shit, bullshit.
Yeah. So, fortune favors the blind. Nature will take its course.
This might help your mum. Understand what's going on. It happens to people everywhere.
It's like, I don't understand. They if this is the kind of person that do work on people, like when they block somebody, you blocked. Ain't nobody just carry it away because you can't. Yeah. Because it's so strong, the blocking they doing.
There you go.
Like they back and
it's so strong.
Your ass. They like,
what blockage are you talking about?
You know what I'm saying? They're like, what the fuck is going on? So they went back because I don't know who gave them the dirty offer to do this in the first place, but when they found out,
back, wouldn't they?
Like,
people go, what the fuck?
Away from them toxic ass people. Them people was toxic as fuck. They was doing this to them. They was doing that to them. Da 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 da. Like, yeah, and they did all that by themselves. Yeah, they grew, healed, and evolved by themselves. They built their business by themselves. Like such and such. I'm talking about somebody was telling the truth about y'all.
So what do? And they're like, they start doing all these moves without giving confirmation.
Working with so-and-so, they're like, yo, get in the business with them for real.
I've talked about, we don't all do the same as what they do.
Real good connections. Like, no fake, funny, phony shit.
The thing about me is I've even spoke about how to approach me with love and certain things and what definitely not to do. And I've talked about the top list of that, right, which is lie when you've been confronted with the truth. Right? So don't bother with that. Otherwise, you just go away. Right? It's immature. It's like little kids. Right? Be a trickster. Right? And say one thing and do another. There's 3 of them for you. They drive me insane. You know, when a parent goes, oh, the kids are driving me insane. Right? So you stay away from them. Or you don't have kids. If they're doing that, you shouldn't try to get that trophy. You know what I mean? Perhaps it wasn't good for you, but others say that you perhaps need it. You know how that goes. It's like people get pets and then they realise they shouldn't have it. Here in Australia, we actually have that problem so bad that we've got an ad with the lady crying going, oh, I wish I'd never had him. I just want to... What else does she say? It's pretty nasty. She's looking out the window while the husband's holding the baby. Something about that she... Something about down the street. She does something nasty. You remember that ad? I'll have to find it. About parents can't handle their children, their babies, and they weren't ready. They thought they were ready. Remember that ad? And she's talking to a counsellor on the phone. Yeah, and at first you think she's talking about her husband. It's a bit strange or that ad. But anyway, thought I'd just see if anyone else has got it. But with a curse, when you're cursed, that means that if you want something from someone, most of the time you won't get it. You'll have to figure it out yourself. That's what curses mean. And I've been talking a lot about that, definitely when it comes to important stuff.
That type of energy, really good energy.
And they talk about swapping energy. So instead of someone coming and be nice to you, they'll be nice to everyone else around you and in your face and not to you, right? How would that make you feel? Having these curses and reversals of energies and shit. Man, it'd be a crazy world, wouldn't it? But people can do it naturally, right? Because there ain't no magic. Curses,
so that's why it was pointless to even come for you in the way that they did for somebody else that married for money, a.k.a. they're broke ass. They don't know nothing about nothing, okay?
When they're broke, they know nothing about nothing. Do you guys know the Jesus story? Do you know the Jesus story, Emma?
Not really.
Oh, well, Jesus didn't have too much money, but he had a lot of knowledge. And then he gave his knowledge to other people. And then there's been other Jesus moments throughout time. And they didn't want to give out knowledge. They want to have, but thieves just come and steal it. Pretty much what happened to Jesus. You know, Jesus' knowledge got stolen. His followers didn't protect him. He wasted his time. And in the end, they got some knowledge and they sold it. And so he did help them out, but you wouldn't want to do that again, would you, people? Would you, Emma? Fuck no. And you show him, talk about his story and, what is it, Indiana Jones, where they go get the cup of life, right? It was a shitty old carpenter cup because that's what Jesus got. That's what you get being righteous. Have you seen my clip about people being saints and what your life really is as a saint. You only give people benefits while you're alive, and then after more about your saint stories so they can get donations and shit. It's very sad. The devil lives off everything, right? And sucks it dry. Milks it, as they say. Who's talking about milking lately? I've been talking about milking for a while.
AKA, they're broke ass. They don't know nothing about nothing. Okay? They didn't never make that.
So people are milking someone like that. I guess they'll be all that, wouldn't they? And the person who's milking them, what type of attitude of speech would they have? Do you know that in psychology? Now, I've been talking to my mum about, she doesn't know me, right? And I've studied a lot, and people know me pretty close to me, know what I'm talking about is true, because I help them in the same area. But I'm good at psychology, aren't I, Emma?
Yeah.
In all sorts of fields. But I've learnt that by myself, home learning. It's pretty sad, really, because it means nothing to the real world. Unless you can go do the study, it might become easier. But I struggle in areas when it comes to reading, the way they want to make us study. I study differently, I learn differently, and they don't know how to do that. And that's sad as they talk about trying to educate the people out there, and they can't even educate me properly or allow me to teach others how to educate people with a similar mind to mine.
Taking care of them.
With ADHD, I grew up with that. I had to control that myself, and how I do things like that, and how it gets arced up by others around us and stuff like that.
Would they even get information from them? Now everybody got bad karma. So this seems like to me, y'all.
Because my mum knows about my ADD, and I didn't get full diagnosed. I never had medication for it. I managed to listen to people and change and fight my ADD, and went through counselling courses and stuff like that, and never really hit the point where I was just crazy for no reason. I never really had that where most ADD people just go loopy for no reason. I didn't. I've got the ADD. If someone pisses me off or gives me a reason to be ADD, and I've already been annoyed, I have an ADD moment. Hey, Emma. Yeah, but I haven't actually got ADD. I've never been medicated for that. Never got it because I didn't have that problem. They find that when it come to me, I was quite strange in all sorts of areas, actually. And that's what people need to learn about, that we're different in education and how we be. As you know, I can solve puzzles really quickly. As I've talked about in the story in one of my clips too, about how I couldn't go to special classes and be like most people, most special, as they call it, slow people, are slow at everything. I was only slow at a couple of sectors, mainly reading and writing, and I do have an eye problem with that. And certain little areas where, and everyone has it, where your brain just doesn't quite pick it up, right, as good as other people do, like my reading, right? But everything else, I excel more than others. So that helps balance out things. That's how we're meant to live. But then you have bullies go, you can't read, you're stupid. Well, you can't do these other things I can do, right? Or could I say, if you can't remember properly, you're pretty stupid, because that's stupid, isn't it? You can't remember. That means you're going to be stupid, isn't it, Emma? If you can't remember, right, and then you're having these conversations and even saying something stupid, right, they can be stupid. Trust me, I know a lot of people have memory problems and they're not too bright. And it's part of the memory problem, because how can you be bright if you constantly forget things, right? And that's why they say don't have drugs, because drugs make you forget. But yet I know for a fact that a lot of people have learned on drugs, on Phenergan and on medicated drugs. So you can learn on drugs. You're not as efficient. You're good not to have drugs, as I've talked about before. But it's certainly a lie when they say you can't learn on drugs or teach an old dog new tricks. It's just a market and an area and a bubble where people can be like that. You know what I mean? But then they try to market it that we're all the fucking clone like that. You know what I mean? It's very sad. And you'll find these bubbles should be big areas in these cases, because my cases are similar to a lot of people, because I was around the slow people and realised the differences too between the ones that are similar like me, like a person named Simon, and then to the ones that are just completely stupid. And you'll even notice, or not stupid, but slow. They become stupid because they're slow, or they can't absorb. They're both slow and have memory problems. And so you'll see over time that they're still trying to teach them something from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right? You know, let's just play this for a quick second, and I'm going to leave it there. Done enough psychology for today, I reckon. I've had my family around and all that kind of stuff, right? And everyone giving out their advices and stuff like that, as they do. Definitely people give out advices that you don't really need to hear, and sometimes you get in arguments, as they don't know you, right? And they believe they need to give you advice where you laugh at it and go, why are you telling me stuff? If you only knew me, you wouldn't be wasting your time with this advice. And so I like to shut down some people and go, yeah, I know, right? But then they get upset that I shut them down. And it's sad that they do that. But the quicker you can see things and people can explain things and shut them down like that if they need to, right? And scientists do it to each other all the time, right? The quicker you can move on. It speeds you up. It's an upgrade. You don't want to blab all day long to get something done when you can go blah, 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 and they understand, right? I've talked about it in the clip before.
Got questions. Y'all should have asked this question. Instead of being a groupie, jumping on the bandwagon.
And you know how I know? Because I do, and I've been through, and I've seen docos over and over again to make sure that it just pops up there. Right? If I don't know, I don't speak about it. I go, shit, let's look it up, right? I don't try to blab off bullshit, and if it's wrong, it's because I've seen bullshit from somewhere else, and I'll quickly correct myself and then make that right? Where some people don't even do that. Don't I, Emma? Yeah. As we all do, we do make mistakes, and memory can be mistakes sometimes too. It's good to clarify that with others. But if they can't remember, then it's hard to clarify, isn't it?
For a hater that was holding a grudge because you didn't want to give...
And these days, we can do a lot of videos, so it helps clarify memory and photos.
Broke-ass person no more money, or you didn't want to deal with them. Instead of jumping on the bandwagon.
So when you're a righteous person, you're meant to deal with broke people, aren't you? Don't these people, that's what I find strange. They talk about that they're righteous and all this kind of thing, but then they like to talk about these stories, right? And it gets confused because they say it's a general, or at the end they go, hey collective, or my collective, and all these things that are just very strange. And if you know about codes, and why I say strange, because in a way it's like a code. I can code it and give you a language through the way they speak, right? And then it's not a good code. When you see that language, it's actually deceit or a good thing, right? That's why there's a code, because they're talking to each other in a certain way so they can use that information for their group, right?
You should have did your research first before you attack this person. You see what I'm saying? So what's happening?
Now, when I do attacks, I call them minimal. No. And that's why I've been talking about that my attacks are quite minimal to the things that I usually give little attacks to, like reports. I'm doing reporting at the moment because she talks about certain things, and I believe, and she said herself that she's a nice person and all these, take her shit off her back and all these kind of things. If you listen to enough of her readings, she speaks about her stories, like I speak about stories. And so I find out a little bit about herself. And then if you've got a hacker issue, well, there you go. But I can still give my opinion that's true from the heart and what I believe could be happening in theories, all that kind of stuff, which is what I've done. And I'll talk more about it in the future. Some things you just got to hold off for a little bit. For the right time, seeing the person face to face.
You were really innocent, and you had every right to not deal with whoever that is because X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? And then come to find out.
So I'll be saying in my story, what was the reason for my blockages? There's no reason. I'll happily debate them, that they were wrong by the actions that they were doing without confirming them with me, right? Or me knowing about it.
That they was just using a child situation as leverage. Come to find out the reason behind that. That's what they're finding out.
My latest incidents that I got to go attend to, he's got to do with a child.
So not only do they have bad karma for even working with them. So yeah, somebody mad
There's
at
3
right now.
Reports.
Because they mad at
One's including the child.
They all pitying somebody. Oh, I need.
First, I didn't even know who they were. I don't know their names. Didn't I?
Thinking he was doing a good thing for somebody.
These 3 latest reports on me? Yeah. I didn't even know that. I knew one.
Oh my God.
The other people, I only said a few words and then I'm treated like shit. So, well, I've never even been told their name, or why would I even want to know their name? In fact, when I heard their name, I actually want to try to delete it out of my head.
It's like
because I don't want to know.
Bribing a thief. So everybody is like getting their just desserts.
And I've already talked about when it comes to names, it's hard for me to remember. So it's a good thing about that. If I don't see too much often, I can block out things like that. So that's pretty cool.
So mistrust was paid with mistrust. That's crazy. No. Ain't that crazy how this shit is playing out for these people, yo?
That's why I put it in crazy certain list.
In the reverse.
The moment I've got it in the strange list on my mum's list. Strange Conversations, it's called. You think this is a strange conversation, people? Well, I find some to be quite strange. If you're not educated enough, you might think they're quite crazy and all that kind of stuff. But you got to know, you got to see them. Don't ever see clips and then make a big decision on small things, small information. Huh? That's what I've been trying to tell the police a lot lately when it comes to YouTube and how YouTube works. They come in and attack with people's attacks, and the police are doing job about YouTube, and they don't even know about YouTube. Isn't that sad? That they're attacking people about YouTube, and the police don't even know the rules of YouTube. Isn't that sad, Emma? Yeah, which I thought was sad. They should be educated. Their chiefs should educate them real quick about it, YouTube, and even change their policies that I've talked about to make their work a bit easier and to stop all the bullshits and attack. They're getting involved in the bullshit, the lefties' bullshit that doesn't need to be, and people are using the law to make themselves look good on YouTube. That's what I'm going through in a way. But using the law behind the scenes.
Nature will take its place regardless.
And I've tried to help the police with that. Because in the end, the police are actually looking bad by doing these things, right? I don't want them to look bad. No one wants the things that are meant to protect you look bad. But that's what's happening, and that's just the truth.
Found out this information from France or something, mistrust is repaid with mistrust. That's the wildest statement, though. Get me out.
How hard do you work at your goals that you believe is true? You let me know. Some will call you a stalker if you work too hard. See you later.